Scrums are a defining feature of rugby union and go a long way to deciding who wins matches. Despite this, in-depth knowledge of the scrum is extremely rare, both amongst fans and many pundits. A few weeks ago, for the WRRAP podcast, I got to sit down with Wales international loosehead prop Kemsley Mathias for an in-depth look at scrum tactics, technique and analysis. How do you analyse opposition scrums? How much do you watch and then what exactly are you watching for?
I was going to use the Sharks, but I'll use the Lions, for example. So they got their tired Asenathi.
Yeah, massive. What is he, 158 kg?
Yeah, 150 at least. But we knew that he's like the catalyst for their scrum. So if the loosehead and hooker can work together, pin him on the bind so he can't get out on the engagement, put him onto his heels, then we knew we'd be in a good spot to pin him and try and attack him that way. If we gave him a gap and his perfect setup before the engagement, then we knew he'd be able to get out and cause problems. And then allows them having a foothold into the game, and they can have kick to corner, have territory, have points, whatever. So we knew it was important. So we look at it like that. We'll sit as a front row on a Monday or Tuesday morning and analyse the opposition front row and where we can go after them and where they have their own strengths, which we need to be wary of. And then after that, really, it's up to the boys to individually watch it, but we don't watch it again as a front row. We'll just focus on ourselves and what our process is like in the week, and getting our house in order. And then that's it, really.
Yeah, awesome. So I kind of mentioned it there with Ntlabakanye with his weight, and Ben Tameifuna is another one they talk about being massive. It's something that pundits often talk about is they talk about the size of props. How much of an advantage is size, and how much of it is just like doesn't matter how big you are, your technique needs to be on point.
Yeah, but these big tightheads have good technique, see. So it's just like they got both those things. So obviously, it's physics. Weight will move mass, like, do you know what I mean? But with good technique, then it's a challenge. Then it's a harder contest for a smaller loosehead to scrummage against. So weight does mean it does make a difference, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But you can nullify it with technique or technical things to change their setup. For example, like putting the tighthead onto his heels, so he's feeling the weight, so he's less likely to get out the blocks. Whereas if he's on his toes, it's something so subtle, but it's quite important. Or get him readjusting back on the bind, so he's not comfortable. Or helping your hooker use his left shoulder to pin the tighthead from going into the seam, so then he's more squarer. So then the loosehead has a bigger chunk to attack him, for example. Just small things like that, which technical things that you can get around without being 150 kilos yourself. Do you know what I mean? So it's quite complex, but us front rowers know what's going on.
Exactly. So does scrums have calls like lineouts then? Do you go right doing this then at this scrum? Or
for example, if we want to try and to attack for a penalty or for dominance, we have a special call. But yeah, it's not as complex as a line-out calling system, no.
Okay. Hey, are you enjoying this video so far? If you are, please consider subscribing to the channel. We've just gone past 5,000 subscribers and we're only getting started. There is a massive summer of rugby coming up and I'd love for you to be part of it. Anyway, let's get back to the video. If you could talk through your process when you're setting, how you're getting in position. Do you bind on the shirt? Do you bind on the shorts of the hooker? Just talk us through that.
I don't want to give any secrets away. So obviously I'll bind before the tighthead. I'll bind on the hooker's shirt just below his armpit. I'll try and get my hips slightly in front of his, just because. See, I'm going to get too technical now. I don't want to get too technical.
Just go as technical as you want, mate. We've got educated people listen to this.
Obviously, the tighthead is normally promoted, the opposition tighthead, so I want to be promoted I don't want to be sat behind the hooker to create a seam for him to scrummage in. So try and be a bit more promoted, and then on bind, then I'll naturally slip back in parallel with the hooker's head, if that makes sense. So it doesn't create a seam for the tighthead to scrummage into. And then just on the bind, then trying to get high bind, so high elbow, just so I can get under the tighthead's chest, really. And then on engagement, then it's just getting out. But that will be like the back five's job to get us front row out then. So that's quite dulled down version, but I think you get the understanding.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love it. So where is your strength coming from as a prop? Is it your back? Is it your neck? Is it your legs? Just everywhere.
So like on binds, you have to have a strong neck to take the weight. So like if you don't have a strong neck, you won't be able to take the weight. But then you need a strong back and lower back for a loose head, especially to keep up the tight head. But then you need a strong glutes and quads to obviously push forward in the scrum. So when you think about it, the scrum is like a full body exercise. Obviously your whole body's bracing as well. You got your abs working, your core working, every muscle is needed for a scrum. So yeah, but mainly back, legs, neck. But I know that's quite a lot.
Yeah, what kind of exercise are you doing in the gym that maybe the other boys don't do?
I wouldn't say it's anything out of the ordinary. Maybe just a bit heavier.
Yeah,
If that makes sense.
yeah. So no like neck specific stuff.
Yeah. Forwards especially has more neck than backs, but yeah, props we want to load it heavier than some of the other forwards. Got this like special contraption where like you could rotate this weight when you're like laying over a bench and stuff, but can't do it too much in the week when you're playing because you don't want to fatigue your neck. But yeah, especially once a week you can load it pretty heavy, and then yeah, just like back squats going pretty heavy, RDLs, deadlifts, just your natural strength work really, just trying to get as strong as possible. You get a lot of load then in the week from the actual scrummaging, so yeah, you get your load from scrums then.
Yeah. Do we prefer to do live scrums in training, or do we prefer scrum machine?
No scrum machine.
No scrum machine.
No, no. Always live scrums because you just can't replicate a scrum on a machine. Do you know what I mean? You got the opposition dictating angles, pressure onto you. It's just the real deal. You have to do live scrums in the week. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Dan Human said in Chasing the Sun, wasn't it? I've never seen a scrum machine on the rugby field.
Yeah, and I watched that clip and I was like, that's so true. But I've heard about their scrum sessions and they sound a bit bonkers. But
does that make you go, oh, I'd love to sample that?
Yeah, I would. I would like to be involved in one of those sessions. But like, yeah, the Saffers are intense, and so they. But that's why they're so good, I guess. They're focused on it, and they're doing it to the extreme, so they'll be better. So.